All right. I hereby call this meeting of the Nevada City Planning Commission to order. We acknowledge that the Nisenan people are still here among us today, though nearly invisible. We understand that we are on Nisenan land that was never ceded, and the original tribal families have yet to recover from the near genocide of their people. As a resident or visitor in Nisenan land, we support the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan tribe in efforts to stabilize their people, as well as their campaign to restore federal recognition. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Thimmen?
Here.
Commissioner Nye?
Here.
Commissioner French?
Here.
Vice Chair Cobden is absent, and Chair Brown.
Here. All right. Any corrections to the agenda? I think we're all good. All right. Next is public comment, but seeing as there is no public here, we will go on to the consent calendar. Is there anyone who would like to discuss any items on the consent calendar or pull anything from that?
Nope.
Seeing no one, someone like to make a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I move to approve the consent calendar.
We have a motion. Do we have
I'll
a second?
second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Nope. Motion passes. All right. Moving on to our main item for today, pre-approved accessory dwelling unit and accessory structure plans. So I'll hand it over to Jessica.
Thank you, Chair Brown, Commissioners. Jessica Hankins, City Planner. We're pulling up the presentation right now. Right, there we go. Okay, great. So we can move to the second slide here. What's happening?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, hold on 1 second.
While she's pulling that up, I'll just kind of get started with the introduction on what this is. So the city has received a REAP 2.0 grant that gave us $300,000. About $100,000 of that has been allocated to these pre-approved ADU plans, and then the rest of it is allocated to the housing element update. So the purpose of this was to create a library of pre-approved ADU plans to streamline permitting and design for homeowners and make the process just easier for builders as well and developers. So these will offer no or low cost plan access for Nevada City residents only. So you do have to reside in the city. It supports housing infill development, workforce housing, and reduced vehicle miles traveled objectives that are part of that REAP 2.0 grant. The plans that we have developed, that Chuck has developed, and Nadachai, they are a range of unit sizes and configurations for all different lot types and sizes and household needs. So we'll go over that in more detail here in a moment. The recommended action on this is approval of the 6 pre-approved ADU plan sets for ministerial architectural review. And then also there are some sets of accessory structure plans that we're requesting a recommendation of approval on for ministerial approval, and pre-approved colors for these ADUs, so that if they are in the historic district, they don't get the ministerial approval for the ADU, but then have to come in for color review from the Planning Commission. Next slide. Okay, so I went over the REAP 2.0 award. I would like to introduce the co-housing company. I think you probably all know him, but maybe you haven't met, Lindsay, you might not have met Chuck and Nadachai yet, with co-housing company. They are our consultant for the pre-approved ADU plans, an architecture firm. The co-housing company actually developed the co-housing site up at the top of Broad, and so they've been awarded this contract and have developed these plans. Staff has reviewed them, and here we are today. So they're here to help answer any questions that you might have about the design. We have seen a couple of ADU changes in the last 6 months or so. There was the ADU ordinance that came through. We updated to be in compliance with state regulations, and the city council did approve that in April. So that's now in effect. And that also increased height limits, which allowed us to develop these plans. Implementation goal on this is to move from conceptual language to a usable permit-ready plan set. So these will be construction plans that will be available for a 10-year code cycle. They will be free, you can move to the next slide, for the first 6 sets. And after the first 6 sets are used, then there will be just a nominal fee for people to use the plans. Okay, we're having problems with the slides. Okay. Well, I'll just wait for her to do that. While we're waiting, I'll just keep going. Okay. So we've got 6 plan sets. They range from 462 square feet to 1,193 square feet. 4 of those plan sets are under 750 square feet, which is the size they need to be to not have development impact fees applied. If you're under 750, there's no development impact fees except for school fees. If you're under 500, so we have 1 plan set under 500, you also don't have school fees. So we're trying to give people some options, and then with that high end, give them an option for, essentially what is a second primary unit, especially if there are any SB 9 lot splits or anything like that are going to happen. There are multiple options that are going to be provided with these plan sets. They're all available as mirrored plans, so we've got an L-shaped unit that can be flipped and mirrored. There's an attached storage unit. Yep, you're in the right spot. There's an attached storage unit that is optional if you want some bike storage or something like that attached to the home. There's also a detached storage unit that's 32 square feet and an optional 1-car garage. The plan sets will include everything ready to go for construction, with the exception of the site plan. Obviously, that changes from site to site. Again, I think we're done with that slide, actually. When people come in, I'm going to go through this process here in a moment, but they will just have to develop a site plan and then choose the plan that they want and go through the ministerial review with us before going to the building department. So at a glance here, we've got the 6 different units. You can see there are 3 1-bedroom, 1-bath units, a couple of 2-bedroom units with different numbers of bathrooms, and then that largest unit is 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. All different sizes and shapes to accommodate the different lot sizes and configurations again. And you can see the heights also range up to just under 18 feet. Next slide. So these plans have been reviewed for consistency with the objective design standards. We obviously want to try to get as close as we can to the standards that the Planning Commission had and the City Council had adopted for new residential development. But there are a few things that we're going to need to go over, so we'll do that here in a minute. I would note these are the ways in which the plans are consistent. There's no blank walls over 30 feet. The roof pitches are consistent. The roofing materials are consistent. The siding is consistent. There are potentially some additional WUI options for discussion, so we'll talk about those in a minute. And then some of the windows we will need to talk about here as well. So next slide. Okay. And in the staff report, you have a matrix in the staff report. So I'm just kind of going to run through that rather than looking at the slide here and get your input, if that's okay, on each of these items, and we can hopefully have a discussion. Okay, so material for siding. Right now it's shown as hardy plank, and that may change over time. We're working on updating the design guidelines right now. So wondering your thoughts on adding some different siding types like metal. I even had stucco in here, or other, fire retardant treated wood that's labeled for exterior use those types of things. Does the Planning Commission want to recommend adding additional siting types?
Maybe just a comment on procedure here.
Yeah.
So you have several items for us to go through.
Yes.
We have some members of the public here as well who may want to comment.
Okay,
And I'm open to your suggestions. My thought was maybe you could go through each of the items
Sure.
that we're going to talk about and then allow the public to comment, and then
Okay.
we could have our discussion.
we'll do it the
essentially.
regular way. That sounds good. Okay, I didn't see folks come in. So the next item is vertical corner boards. The design standard rather is an assembled width of 3.5 to 4.5 inches unless it matches the existing primary unit. And one of these matches and one doesn't. One is consistent, one isn't. There's a 2x6 in front and a 2x4 on the sides. So that's a question for the commission. And I would point out too on these that these plans are not required to be exactly consistent with the objective design standards. It is probably an aspiration for them to be as close to the objective design standards as possible. But it would not be inconsistent if the city council adopts these as pre-approved plans because of the state objectives and laws around pre-approved ADU plans. So they're treated a little bit differently than other types of development. 5/8 inch thickness required for panel siding. I didn't see a panel siding thickness shown, so that would be something we would need to discuss. Battens must be incorporated into the design for a board and bat appearance is one of the standards. And I didn't see that we have that stated there, so we may want to add something in the notes on that. Let's see, what else? True divided lights or simulated divided lights, not grills between glass, are required in the objective design standards. And the recommendation on this is that, and we've seen this come up a lot in the last several months. True divided lights are more historically accurate, but they are less energy efficient. So simulated divided lights it's a consideration that we either can put both of those as options. We could just include what the objective design standards say, or we could just give the option for simulated since they are more energy efficient. The windows are probably the primary thing that's different from the objective design standards. The windows are mostly square. I would say most of the windows are more square than they are narrow and tall. The design standard is 1 to 1.5 width to height proportions. So this would be an item that we would need some direction on. Okay, we can move to the next slide now. Okay, with the recommendation on this, staff is asking the Planning Commission also to pre-approve a number of colors from the Benjamin Moore Historical Color Palette. So you each have a collection here. There's also one over on the credenza at the side if anybody from the public would like to view that. The recommendation is colors with a light reflectance value of 29 or higher, and this recommendation came from our consultants. And this is a chart of those colors. They're not all exactly the way that they look, I would say, on this slide. Some of these colors look a lot darker up here than they are in reality, so that's why you've got the actual collection here in front of you, so you can see those colors if you had any concerns about any of them. If we do not approve pre-approved colors, then the situation we'll run into in the historical district is that folks might be able to get an administrative approval for their ADU and then have to come into Planning Commission for the color that they choose. So that's just something we're trying to avoid since we're trying to streamline this effort. Next. Okay, so here is the approval process. First, an applicant would come in, select one of these 6 plans and confirm that they can do this within their zoning district, obtain a property survey, and prepare a scaled site plan that shows their setback, structures, easements, and lot dimensions. All of this obviously has to be reviewed by planning and engineering and fire ultimately. The second phase of this is the design development. So they would select their approved materials and options. They'll essentially be given a checklist that says, what type of siding do you want? And there'll be a number of options. What type of, what colors do you want? And they'll have to tell us exactly what they want out of the options that are selected from a menu. And then they would identify any proposed deviations to the plan. So if they say they want to put their bathroom somewhere else, or they want to move the wall of the closet or something like that, they can do that, but they may end up having to provide a letter from a structural engineer or get new energy calcs, that kind of a thing. So those types of deviations would be allowed if they're on the interior with approval from the licensed person. They would also have to identify contractors and confirm construction cost estimates just for themselves. Those contractors obviously have to have business licenses in the city too. So we check on all of that as we get permits coming in. And then finally, they would just submit the entire application packet with all of their choices and the site plan and fees. We would review it against our development standards and provide an approval, hopefully within 30 days. If we see anything that looks off, there's a deviation. If they want to change something on the exterior, it would have to come back to Planning Commission or to Planning Commission. Next slide. Once they're done with that, when they get city approval, this is a process everybody who builds in the city would know. You get city approval first, then you go to the county for the building permit. So they still go through a permitting process with the county building department. So some of the options that they would have is approved from approved siding, roofing, and window options. I think I went over some of these already. They can make limited interior layout modifications if shear walls are maintained. They would have the ability to remove certain side or rear windows if they were using the 4-foot setback that's allowed by the state for ADUs. And that potentially could result in new energy calcs as well. And they would choose pre-approved colors like I mentioned, and then select any other additional accessory structure options. If they leave the approved path, I think we already went over the options on here. What happens, basically, they would start by getting letters from the licensed professionals, and then potentially if there's exterior modifications, back to Planning Commission. Next slide. Okay, here's the units we're going to go through now. Unit 1, this is a 462 square foot unit, 1 bedroom, 1 bath. It's about 30 feet long by 15 feet wide and 15 feet high. I think I'm not going to linger too long on these. If we need to come back to them later for a discussion, we can do that. Next slide. Second unit is over that 500 square foot threshold, so still no development impact fees except for school fees. 572 square feet, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, a little over 17 feet high, and this one has more of a square configuration. Third unit, this one has an L-shaped configuration, 729 square feet, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 30 feet by 38 feet or so, and almost 16 feet high. And then the next slide has the elevations for this one. Great. Number 4, also under 750 square feet to avoid those impact fees. 2 bedroom, 1 bath. This one's 24 by 33, more of a square layout, and this one has some kind of cutout type configuration at the front, and it's a little over 17 feet high. Unit 5 is a little larger, almost 1,000 square feet now, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, and this one's longer, got a kind of a longer layout on it, and is almost 18 feet high. You'll notice all of these have porches on them. The porches are as deep as they could be without resulting in a lot of additional costs. So they're mostly 6 feet to 6.5 feet deep. And then unit 6 is almost 1,200 square feet, and this is the largest one, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 17 feet high. And this is this has got a longer rectangular layout. And then the first accessory structure, this is an attached storage unit, and it can be attached to any side of the building, obviously, other than the front, or if we want to make limitations on that, we could do that. The layout is an 8x4. It's been designed essentially for bikes, for a couple of bikes to be stored in there. So it's the kind of the right size for bikes. Obviously, it can be used for anything that people would like, though. It has cementitious siding and Class A composite shingle roofing. That's what's shown on the plans with louvered metal storage doors. Next slide. This is the detached storage shed, very similar to the attached shed, same size, 4 and 12 roof pitch, and the same roofing and siding. And then the last one is a detached 1-car garage, 240 square feet, just room enough for 1 car, 12 by 20 footprint with a composite or metal roof and cementitious fiber siding. And then finally, staff is recommending slight modifications to the recommendations I want to point out. So if there is a motion made on this, it should follow what is up on the screen right now rather than what's in the staff report. So the first one is to find the project exempt from CEQA pursuant to CEQA guidelines section 15268 for ministerial projects, 15301 for minor alteration of existing facilities, and 15303 for construction or conversion of small structures. Staff is also requesting the commission to recommend approval of the following to City Council: the pre-approved ADU plans for ministerial architectural review approval, pre-approved accessory structure plans for ministerial approval, and pre-approved colors with an LRV of 29 or higher from the historical collection for use on ADU projects with ministerial architectural review approval. And that concludes my presentation. Happy to answer questions.
I would say let's go ahead, unless you guys have anything you would like to add to that.
I just want to say that, you know, per the RFP, we were asked to meet with the public, and just so happens over the last couple of years, about 12 households have approached us about designing them a custom ADU. And then I interviewed a lot of people that worked at Heartwood. They have 35 employees, only one of them walks to work, so it really suits your vehicle miles if we can get these built. But anyway, I just want to say that there was a great deal of enthusiasm for having these be available. So I just wanted you guys to know that the public really appreciates what you guys are doing here.
Okay.
They really, really were enthusiastic about it.
Okay. Thank you, Chuck.
You're welcome.
Let's go ahead and, since I think we're going to have more of a discussion, let's go ahead and take public comment now. If there's anyone who would like to provide some public input on this. No? Okay. No one? Let's then go, why don't we just go slide by slide through the items that you want to discuss. If you want to bring up the first slide. And
I'm happy to pass these around if it makes it easier for you. Especially on this corner trim question, you can walk through the Nevada City Co-housing and you'll see this corner trim looks great, by the way. And there's a lot of vocabulary there that's also here. So it's a living museum of these possibilities.
We're going to go to...
Can I jump in with a question?
sure.
Okay, regarding the corner board, how do you arrive at that? I mean, in the olden days, you know, we're looking for small town charm. The lazy guys would put a 3.5 overlaying one side of a 3.5, so that, you know, they'd lap. And so if you're doing a 2x4 corner, with the siding butting into the corner, is that your spec?
Yes, and it's really.
So it doesn't overlay the corner, right? The siding butts into it?
Yes, exactly. And there's lots of reasons for that, mostly weather, dry rot and other issues. But the 2x4 is behind the 2x6, so as it makes both sides look like 2x6. It makes both sides look generous, and it's resawn cedar, so it's got character and texture to it, and that makes it feel more historical too, because it's really got that sawn look on it. You'll see that all over Nevada City Co-housing too. And it feels hardy enough. I mean, anything that's won by it, I can't get behind, because this is a very vulnerable piece of real estate that would rot, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know if that drawing does it, but we do have a full set of working drawings here that would show that corner trim. And
We can bring
I'll
that.
say that from a technical standpoint, I agree with you. That's what I would always do, is do 2x and then the siding butts into it. That's the way to do it.
yeah,
Though I think generally, historically around town, and I may be wrong about this, but it'd be a 2x4 with a 2x4 overlaying it, so that when the two are butting into it, so the total would be 5 inches on one side and 3.5 on the other.
and there's that old, time, design, which I don't find that good, where the front is addressed more heartily than the side is of a corner. You see rock on the front and not on the side, for example. So it gives as much attention, 5.5 inches to the front, and the side ends up being 5.5 inches as well, or 5.25 inches, because it's got that 2x4 that's butting into this 2x6. So the 2x4 is butting into the 2x6, so there's 5 plus or minus inches on the front and 5 plus or minus inches on the side.
Okay, so they're equal.
They're
that's your
equal,
plan.
right?
Yeah.
So it feels like the whole building is designed to be integral and have integrity, as opposed to, we tried to use all the fussy stuff on the front and less fussy stuff on the side.
Okay, that's answered.
You can see the detail in sheet A6.1. Yeah.
6.1, sorry.
A6.1
Okay.
detail 5.
So ACE.
Should I, do we have a set of drawings, you guys?
They're pulling it up right
Okay,
now.
good, okay, good.
Should get so I can see it.
Do you have additional questions on that?
No.
I don't think we need, I think Tom's comfortable.
I mean, I understand
Yeah.
what Chuck said, so.
So could you go back to the sheet? So.
Just figured, well, that.
No, that's
that had
great.
been
That's in the
mentioned,
first,
we
that's in the
clarified,
first
yeah.
category of stuff anyway. So on the, also in the category, you asked about additional siding treatments. For me, offhand, the fire-resistant treated wood would seem to be, given that it's wood, would have a wood look, would be an obvious one to include in there.
And I would say to that, there also, it's an expensive material. Fire treated, it's like roasted, it's treated by fire, and that's fireproof and it's hardened. Though it tends to be very dark in color.
It's black.
Yeah, it's black and, it's great, but I think that option, I mean, if somebody chose
I'd be
that.
fine with it. They look great.
Oh, yeah.
Also
but
looks.
that would be, I think that would be an
expensive.
architecture review item because it's black.
Does that preclude painting on that surface then?
I
Pretty
think
much,
there's
I've
no
never
point
seen it
in
painted.
doing it if you're
okay.
painting.
Never seen it
I
painted.
did not realize that was not.
It's expensive though, so.
Yeah.
It's expensive, and it's black. I mean, it
Okay,
doesn't
so-
have a reflection of 29% or more.
So given that, I guess I take back what I said then.
Okay.
If we want to be consistent with the not doing the darker colors.
So if that were, do you mind if I interrupt?
Go ahead.
So
Go
if that were a choice, that would, simply because it's wood would not make it, because of its color, it would be subject to architectural review. Because it's black.
So it
You're
would have to
saying
come
it
to
would-
us.
If it's a fire treated,
We could, you can make an exception to it, to the
If we
colors.
want to.
Yeah,
I guess that's the question.
yeah. Yeah.
Do we want to make an exception for that? I hesitate to do so, given
Yeah,
all of our discussions.
it's a black building.
Exactly, exactly. And then continuing the comment, I understand the desire for the greater fire resistance of metal and stucco, but at this point, I think until we have those discussions going on about how we're going to change the design guidelines, I think that's something to be considered as part of that, rather than jump to including that here.
Okay.
To me, that's a pretty significant change.
And stucco is something that is compatible with motherlode architecture, consistent with actually, because it's around town, it's
Yeah.
20s detail, but how it's detailed would make a difference.
For sure.
Also, a board and batten, a hardy panel board and batten treatment would be great. It's a low-cost thing. And I think there's an item or description regarding hardy panel or plywood, a siding detail, but there are details in the objective design standards regarding spacing of battens, which is minimum 16 inches on center.
So what you're saying is that's allowed already. We don't need to do anything else.
Right, if that's, and I think it worked well with your architecture too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody else have any comments or discussion on this siding category of questions?
No, I agree with you on the material,
Okay.
and I'm good with the rest of it.
And I believe you didn't call out exposure of the lap siding?
I think we did as 6 inches.
6.
Yeah. Which is appropriate for these being small, diminutive buildings. I mean, 8 inches would look far too much, in my opinion.
Mine too.
Okay. If no more, let's move on to the windows. So I'll jump in here. I think
I'm sorry, can we go back to siding for a second?
Sure.
The objective design standards refer to gable masses being separated from wall masses with a change of siding or a change of color.
These buildings are so small, I kind of feel like that being a different size, it almost looked too busy. And I don't think it's necessary, and it certainly gets in the way of the affordability.
Okay, so we can definitely, I mean, I agree.
yeah, I agree as well. Yeah.
So we can veer from the objective design standards for that.
And I think that's a point about, the fact that these are smaller structures, which have some considerations that apply to that.
It's actually more graceful in these small, it's, poquito magnifico in these small buildings to be simpler and more straightforward than let's get it all messy and when it's already small and it'll just look busy for busy sake, basically.
Okay, any other siding comments?
Yes, textured fake wood siding looks fake. And I would like to see the stipulation that it be smooth, because textured, weathered-looking cementatious siding looks fake.
There's one that I actually use a lot that's comes out as a burnt red look. It's actually pre-painted in the factory. That's the only one I think looks halfway decent. I mean, so instead of making exceptions, I think it could be simpler to just have it be all smooth, because it would be odd. You could potentially end up with not the texture without the right color.
Yes, because if it was a new building, historically, it would be not
Yeah,
weathered.
that's true.
Yeah, and the same with trim details.
Well-
I mean, rough sawn, okay, but not theatrically. So.
Resawn is actually the look that you get the saw marks on it. And you see that all over Nevada City. But yeah, you're right, it's not smooth, especially on the corners. The funny thing about most wood siding was smooth. the teardrop and the, lap siding was mostly smooth. And it weathered quite, the grain finally popped out, after 50 years. But other than that, they were mostly smooth when they first went in.
I have maybe a technical question about the Reson cedar trim. It has to do with affordability. Do you find that's the most cost-effective way as opposed to
No,
engineered stuff?
it's not, but it's not much more. I mean, we built that project at $95 a square foot. I mean, so there was a point here and a point there where, I'm not going to say we splurged, it was 5% more to do the Reson than the smooth. But if you don't do the Reson, it just looks like you used off-the-shelf lumber. You just like put some lumber up there, as opposed to something that was designed and built for this purpose.
Right, and I think that's a really good improvement. It increases the quality of the buildings, and if you find it not, and it's in your specs, then that's a great thing to do. But I just had a question about it.
Yeah. If the question is, do I like the texture a little bit more than the smooth? Absolutely, absolutely. Especially when you paint it, and because the texture holds the paint so well, and so too often the paint fails at the trim, especially if it's smooth. For some reason, I mean, the smooth paint. I mean, the hardy plank holds paint great, but that wood can let it go unless it's perfect and done perfectly, and even then it lets it go. Chips. But the Reson holds it. You'll see paint up there, 20 years old and feels like it's brand new.
Yeah, I guess my question goes to how far from specified details these designs can veer, and if that material is specified as the design, it's certainly preferable.
I think in the set we only just spec cedar.
Yeah, we only do.
Yeah, because I think it like holds up its shapes better than other types of like wood out there.
And like at Nevada City, I spent a lot of time with the contractor, making sure they felt like it was all easy and straightforward. I would donate a couple of hours with every homeowner and say something like, this is Reson for a reason, and you really want to use Reson because it holds the paint better, it looks better, et cetera, et cetera. I think there's a level of education that would be fine, frankly. And if you guys wanted me to do that, I have no problem doing that.
That's a generous offer. It would be really helpful with the process. But that's up to planning, I suppose. Okay, on to windows? Sorry.
I wanted to close on what you're saying. Was there any change, based on your last comment, is there any specific change, or your comment's consistent with the way everything is specified?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm satisfied with Chuck's answers.
Do we need, I have a question on the siding. Do we need additional detail for the depth of the panel siding? Or did I miss that in there?
There's actually a lot of details
Okay.
in the
I might have
drawings,
missed
for
it.
sure.
In the board and batten treatments? Okay.
Do we have a board and batten solution in there?
We don't in the details right now, but we can include it.
We can add them.
Okay.
Yeah. And you'll see we use board and batten at the co-housing too, and it works out fine, but that was pretty much only the common building.
Okay, so that is a comment that will be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it in the design standard that it has to be more than 5/8 inches? Jessica?
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I think I just looked at the hardy plank, like the hardy panels literature, and usually I think the most common size is like 5/16. But I think it might be worth a call to them and see if they have the 5/8 option.
5/8 would be hugely heavy too for a hardy panel. I mean, in other words.
That's a question on affordability potentially too.
And that
for
too.
ADUs.
Right. And I think 5/8 is probably when it's like the traditional board and batten, when it used to be like plywood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
but then-
not, or boards.
All boards,
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
But then,
all
I
boards.
think with the hardy panels that people tend to use now with the board and batten is, like the 5/16 like holds up really well. It still have the,
The 5/8 is for panel siding, so is that the same?
I wonder if there's, I was involved in the creation of the objective design standards, and I wonder if there's some confusion, but 5/8 would be a more appropriate dimension for lap siding rather than panel siding, because we don't know how thick panels are. If they're a quarter, it doesn't matter. If they're-
5/16 is what they run, you know.
Right, and there wouldn't, that's perfectly fine,
Pretty fine. I mean, it's,
because you can't perceive the thickness of
you
the panel.
really can't, you really can't. It's-
But for lap siding, that does make a difference.
Okay, so we can do an update on that when we're working on zoning code updates.
Okay,
So,
though,
yeah.
and the siding, the lap siding that you're proposing as part of these plans, what's the thickness of that?
5/16, yeah.
5/16 for lap
5/16,
siding.
yeah. And if you get much thicker than that, you make the corner trim look thinner, and, you know, it starts to look a little chintzier if you get thicker than that. And it's, you know, the install is quite a bit harder. It's not only heavier, it's just, you really have to pre-drill every connection, and more likely to lose some slack somewhere along the line. It's heavy.
Okay, so is there any change required here?
No.
Okay, all right. Windows. So the first comment there has to do with fiberglass, and I know we have discussed and approved fiberglass recently, and that can be painted, correct? So
Yes.
to me, that one seems to be a straightforward
Yeah.
addition.
And we're finding it as a preference because the fiberglass windows can have narrower rails and styles. Those styles can be, narrower styles, and the rails can be as wide as they want to be. But fiberglass is structurally strong, so it can make for narrower
I think
rails. Styles. I should know this.
you should know better than the rest of us,
Yeah.
Tom, yes. I think similarly, I mean, I feel like we've evolved on the simulated divided lights with some recent discussions to accept that more, you know, where it's that sort of, not the one where it's, I don't know if we
Grills
call it, the
between
one that's
glass.
sandwiched in between the
Yeah.
glass that everybody hates, but the one that's on the outside and looks.
It's on the outside and the inside.
And the inside, exactly, so.
Which can allow for narrower muntins than true divided lights, which are like an inch and something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
So
bigger.
it's preferable and I think much cheaper, right?
Yeah.
The simulated.
I've been using the True Divided for so long, I don't even remember what the fake ones cost. I have no idea, but they probably are cheaper.
They're definitely cheaper. I remember that when we bought our real
Yeah.
one, so. And sorry, I'm jumping in here, but I feel with the last comment on there about the square windows, I think that comes back to some of the discussion we were just having at the size of these buildings. I feel that the square is suitable to these smaller buildings.
And you get the light, you know, up a little bit, so you get better lighting, natural lighting in the building. The lower you take it, the less light per square foot of window is providing, actually. And the other thing I really try to avoid is having the back of a chair in front of a window, for example, or a back of a couch in front of a window. Well, that requires about 210 or so of height to make that possible. So these just lent themselves to square windows, basically. And I think they look fine. And again, they're all square Nevada City co-housing, so you can just walk up there and see them 5'6", 5'6", 4'0", 4'0".
Oh, good.
No, go.
Oh, I did have one more question on windows. I know that we said there were no expanses of wall more than 30 feet without windows, but there did seem some places where we had entire walls without windows.
And that was basically where they're 4 feet or closer to the property line, basically. 5 feet, that's, you can only start using windows there at 5 feet separation from the property line. And, you know, it just seems like some of these, I mean, I've noticed when people have asked me to look at their backyard and how appropriate it was to use an ADU, there was hardly, I don't remember a backyard that didn't need to get around 4 feet for lots of reasons, to have a little yard or a porch or whatever. And so I will bet if we're going to allow 4 foot, there's going to be one wall. And usually they're they're pretty, you know, I mean, I realize that this one's here, and you're right, you wouldn't want to put that necessarily. So, I mean, I hope you guys have an easy way of letting somebody put a window there, assuming that they're 5 feet or farther, or they somehow in view.
And that's what I'd like to discuss right now, because like some of those, like if you looked at what's in the interior there, it was like, you know, there's a kitchen sink or just a cooktop on the other side, which would be an obvious place potentially.
Well, we never did that, just so you know, there's like bathrooms and bedrooms here.
I thought there was at least one where I saw it was a kitchen. I could be mistaken, but yeah.
I'm not sure.
Anyway, but I agree.
Well, not a kitchen, I would never do that, but
Okay.
maybe a bathroom. Yeah.
So, but I agree with you, Chuck, if we could allow that option, you know, where there was at least 5 foot from the property line.
Yes.
And I wonder also if there could be a streamlined approval process, like the planner approves the addition of windows if they desire more, if there's a larger setback, or an ARC sort of approval process that doesn't just so that the applicant who wants to add a window or two,
They don't have to come to the
you
commission.
don't have to come to the full commission to save them some fees and some time and
Yeah,
just
I
make
agree
it
with
less
that.
onerous.
Yeah, I think this is something, I was thinking we would set up as part of the process for one of their options. If they wanted to add windows that aren't there, it'll just affect their energy calc, so we'll have to get a letter and potentially structural, so,
Or
yeah.
could we even just, you know, on some of those walls, you know, put in, you could specify out in the plans, windows here if it's more than 5 feet, you know?
Yeah,
I think we did some of that when we met
We
with.
did, yeah.
Yeah, Jessica and Bethany.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think there's like still 1 or 2 walls that
Yeah.
doesn't have a window, which, you know,
I agree. It was only a couple places that I
yeah,
saw.
I think there was
Yeah.
like 2 exact walls that don't
Yeah.
have, oh, yeah, that doesn't have windows at all, and we could potentially like add one in there. Yeah, and then I think having the options to like remove it would be an easier way, because
that's
then the energy,
that makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
energy calcs would only perform
Yeah,
better.
exactly, because it'll be more efficient with all the
Right, and
windows.
then, we don't have to go back to the engineers, the structural engineers to like calculate a new header
Yeah.
and all that too.
these were designed that you don't have to turn the lights on in your house during the day. Just so there's plenty of natural light, except if you have a bathroom without a window, and only so you can get that 4-foot setback. But anyway, so it was designed to optimally work as it is. I don't know about the view aspect though, yeah.
I still have a concern with the rule is essentially square windows overall on your designs, and you know, hopefully these pre-approved projects will proliferate. We'll see, you know, a lot of them, or a decent amount, and the narrower than tall window proportion is Nevada City style architecture, and I certainly understand the practical and experiential reasoning for it, but I don't know, and it depends on what the majority of us decide, but I would like to stay closer to the objective design standards in terms of that.
Tom, can I comment on that for a second?
Sure.
You know, one of the organizations that I consult a lot about windows is the AARP. And they recommend that the windows are easy to use. That's a fundamental goal that they have. The squarer ones are simply easier. Even if it's vertical and it's a slider, there's racking that happens, and they don't slide well. So they end up being single hung windows. And those are actually a lot harder for elders to use. And theoretically, these are mother-in-law units, right? And so thinking through the ease of use, the AARP is a great consult. You know, they have really thought this through. And I've really enjoyed, you know, working with them to make sure that these are senior-friendly.
And these are all sliders?
Mostly, yeah, most of them. There might be an awning or two in there. But those are easier to use than a single hung too.
Yeah, and then we found like adding like a check rail in the middle, that they could almost look like two single hung windows, like kind of
Right,
being gamed
right.
together to like it's like
This looks like two single hung windows, basically,
yeah, we like do that. Yeah,
even though that's a true divide or a divide, one way or the other. But that window is a lot easier. When I get you guys to tour the Nevada City Co-housing, you can see, you can just touch those windows and they'll open up because of the proportions mostly.
I believe you on that count.
Can we have a few of
Yeah,
those
take
pass
them
around?
all. They're all yours.
Okay, thank you.
I might need one back.
To point to, okay.
Is there other discussion on the windows from anyone on the commission?
Not for me.
No.
No?
Just a clarifying question. So you said you would redraw the plans to add the windows on the walls that don't have windows, and then we could say we could take them away?
Yes, that's what he was.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that also makes it easier for the streamlining. of
Yeah,
the
they're easier to
process.
take away than to add, frankly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Just wanted to
yeah
clarify that.
we included like a note in each of the floor plan to say like some windows can be some side
Yeah.
windows can be removed as long as they still meet the egress codes and like the natural ventilation and natural light codes.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, it could potentially, if they were to do that, they might have to like consult someone to do like a quick calculation, but I don't think it should be that much work and that much money to do. Yeah.
Okay, if there's nothing else on windows.
I just want to make sure that I have, all my notes are correct on this.
Okay.
So we're adding fiberglass, vinyl clad. Are we still okay with vinyl clad? I know that was a discussion, I think, with the
I
design
think
guidelines.
right now we allow it in
Okay,
the design guide. I think that's another one that we're going to revisit as part of our
okay,
fire, because that is not appearing in fire.
right.
And if you care, the AARP loves the vinyls because they're the easiest ones to use,
Yeah.
basically.
However, they burn nicely.
Yeah, there's that.
And they have very fat proportions too.
they have
There's
very
not a
fat
lot of structure to
proportions.
them, so they have to be big.
Yep.
So the stiles and rails are really large, so they stay rigid.
So I don't think we want to call it out one way or
Right.
the other here.
Well, it will continue to be an option on the checklist, vinyl clad.
Yeah.
Okay. And then on the true divide lights, right now the versus simulated, we're just leaving that as the objective design standard, which is true or simulated, just not grills between glass, right?
Yes.
Okay, leave as is. And then Munton's 7/8 inch wide. Do we need to specify that?
Does that happen? You say you use a lot of true divided lights. Are they 7/8? Can you?
The thickness of the Munton,
Yeah.
they're more than 7/8. They're like almost 2 inches. And that's because with that vinyl, for example, which I use because the AARP likes it so much, that it requires some holes in it to make it structurally have integrity, basically. It requires some section modulus that's bigger than wood or vinyl.
Right,
I mean, or
like an aluminum
fiberglass.
extrusion has space in it because the
exactly.
interior tension
Yes,
bolsters
exactly.
the
Yeah,
exterior
exactly.
tension. Yeah.
I think they do come in, different sizes. The one that we use.
So
I don't know where that leaves.
Which one?
I don't know where that leaves us either.
I think that if it's 2 inches, it meets the minimum. I believe that was a minimum.
Is that specified in?
It says 7, yeah, it's in the design standards.
The Munton is the thing that
Yeah,
divides
right.
and the stiles and rails are the 2-inch
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, is that what, okay.
Yeah.
I misunderstood that.
So I don't know, there's a little bit of a
I don't know, I mean, because if it was,
inconsistency there.
yeah,
And Munton.
because if it were 1 inch, would we be upset? I mean, I don't know what the standard is that the manufacturers have.
the simulated with the grill glued to the glass and the thing that separates
What are they calling for the vertical?
inside the glazing unit.
Yeah.
I think
because,
it's
you can
is
use it with
thinner. I think it's
Oh, it's thinner. So,
it's like 7/8 or something like that.
wait, so 7/8 a minimum or a maximum?
That makes sense, actually.
That, I think the intent is for it to be a maximum because.
That's what I thought.
Because
too.
historic
It was
multi-pane windows are very thin,
Yeah, exactly.
which is very hard to do with double glazed material.
Right. Okay.
Really so-
So I think if 7/8 is in there now, I think we can leave it, especially Tom is,
Okay.
and maybe you guys can confirm. Yeah, we're saying that the.
Muntins are the actual dividers.
Right, and we're saying on the simulated ones, are they 7/8 or less right now typically?
They are 7/8 or less, but I like the fatter ones, so, you know.
I think we're gonna stay consistent with our design guidelines and leave it at 7/8.
Okay, that's a good.
The goal of that within the objective design standards is to make for a more historic look, and single glazed windows can have very, very narrow
Very
muntins,
narrow ones, it's true. Yeah.
that's the goal of the, yeah.
Okay, other clarifications, Jessica?
That's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see, were there any questions in that process
There's
implication?
nothing else. Nope, those are all of my questions. So I'm going to have Amber just go to the last slide as you deliberate.
Let me just ask, is
Yeah.
there anything else anybody wants to bring up?
I have a design concern about number 5, 6, which is it? 4, yes, unit 4.
Can I grab those?
Yeah.
We can bring it up here too. Or maybe just go back up to that slide. Which back up to you?
I just want to ask you about the necessity of the jogged walls and the notched roof,
Well, that's a good question, frankly.
which has
It's that one, yeah.
a pretty modern.
That's a good point. It is
Do you
sort of a
think that's modern?
touch.
I was thinking that you find that all over town, weird, you know, geometries here and there.
Though not in historic key buildings. You may find it
Where do we
around
have a
town
plan?
in
Do
more
we have a
modern
plan?
buildings.
And I think that perfectly symmetrical jogs on each side looks definitely modern to me. I would agree with you there, Tom.
Okay. So you don't like that?
No,
Now that you brought it up, I have to agree with you.
yeah. I think we have a,
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I think we all.
You know,
agree.
it comes down to making this as efficient as possible. You can see if I made it fatter there or skinnier, maybe skinnier. I could probably find a compromise that would work, but I was trying to give it some level of shade and shadow and articulation. But I hear, you know, it's a fine point. We could probably find make this guy a little shorter and this guy a little longer, and
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I think I see your goal, and yet it's,
It doesn't look bad, it just doesn't.
This is form follows function, frankly, you know,
No,
honestly.
I think it looks good, but it doesn't look appropriate for Nevada City.
we're very interested in form here,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah,
without an
right.
utterly compelling function.
Yeah, I mean, form follows, in this case, historicism, which is fine. I mean, I understand that, as opposed to function. Function, that's form follows function. Yeah,
And we all want this to really happen. So we all want it to take off. We want people to use these so they can build homes.
we're
and
motivated
houses.
as well, yeah. So you want us to try that,
I
square that up a
square it
little bit?
I think that's our,
I think that's a unanimous on the commission.
But then everything else in that unit, like elevation wise, I think are we okay with?
Well, don't beg the question, not this. Because the rest of it's fine, I think.
the questions arise if they're out
And
of
the
court.
challenge is to not add any windows, because actually, we've got it kind of ahead of ourselves on the energy calcs, and they're quite expensive, so, I try to keep the windows exactly the same and the square footage exactly the same, so we don't have to get the energy calcs again.
Sure. So I just have some questions for my interest and curiosity about details. What is the details of the posts and headers for the porches?
Well, interesting. would ask that.
And the railing while we're at it.
Well, okay, again, I can't beg you enough to come up. I would love to give you guys a tour of Nevada City, because this is the Nevada City co-housing railing. This is Nevada City beam and post. So these are 4x4s, and I usually drop a couple drift pins right there, so there's no bracket showing. You know, it's kind of olden days where they were just toenail those things in place, for better or worse, mostly worse. But anyway, this would be drip pins, like long drip pins that would go down there. And you'll see that, you know, I did them in Nevada City, and there's very little checks in there. This is a 4x4, 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 that's just,
And a 4x6 header?
yeah, like a
Yeah.
4x6, yeah. I mean, this is actually a truss, so I can get away with a 4x6.
Right,
As
right.
opposed to a bigger thing.
Yeah.
So not beefy, minimal.
No,
Yeah, minimal
yeah.
beefy, yeah.
Yeah,
Minimal.
and then the railing is,
The railing is a 4x4 on the top, 1x4 is here, and two 1x4s there. So it's basically a Varendale truss.
so it drains,
Pardon me?
so it drains.
It drains, yes, yeah, and 1x4 on each side, so that water goes through. It's got a chamfer top on the top of that 1x4, so that it sheds water. And then a 4x4 on the top, so it holds integrity. I mean, it's really a problem in my view, how many 2x6s and even 2x4 top rails you'll find, and they just don't weather well, basically, so they don't weather long.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, welcome.
All good.
Can I get you guys to come up to the Nevada City Co-housing sometime? Because it's, you know, that was very economical to build, and it took every trick in the book to get it that way. And so we don't want to make things expensive for
Why don't I
expensive.
suggest that after the meeting, if folks are interested, they're
Okay.
talk to you, Chuck. I did have a question too. You know, all of these are shown on level ground, essentially. Is there, I mean, if somebody's building on a slope, I mean, I know we had all these discussions before.
We have both, by the way, just so you know. We have the
Okay.
detailing for a raised floor and detail for gravel, slab
Okay,
grade, yeah.
okay. But if someone is building on slope ground, you know, where the front is one point and the back is another point, is there any special requirement that they would have to do? I mean, if they were to put this with, you know, essentially an extended foundation below, which makes.
We just do it by the design standards, which is a stepped footing, you know, I think it allows for 4-foot horizontal, and then, you know, just step the footing.
So is there anything we need to do to make it easier for folks who are building on that condition that?
I don't think so, given what Chuck just said, that we already have provisions for that in the objective
Okay.
design standards. Yeah,
Okay,
yep,
good.
yeah.
Okay, are there other questions from the commission? No. No? Michelle? No? Tom?
Yes.
What's the roof pitch of the single car garage? Is that 6 and 12? I didn't see a pitch called out.
612.
Okay.
Minimum. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if people want to make that a little
Yes,
higher,
yeah.
so that they can get some storage in those rafters. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it's on the plan sheet that we sent to you guys. Yeah,
It says 612.
yeah, unfortunately not on the elevation.
Yeah, those are just screenshots that got cut off.
Oh, it wasn't, that's right. It's my fault. Yeah, you're right. My fault, it's not on the elevations.
One
It's on the
more,
plans.
Go ahead, Tom.
one more nagging, well, actually two, back to siding now.
Back to
because it's
siding,
gnawing-
okay.
It's gnawing on me. If the hardy panel with battens were used, it's an 8-foot length panel or 9 or something like that. At gable ends, it would extend beyond the end of the
So
panel
there'd be a Z flashing there.
and a piece of horizontal trim over that.
It could be, sure.
Not required, but can, yeah.
Yeah, I think that, because that really says modernity if the Z flashing shows.
I think it's actually like required for fire too.
To cover it?
But it could go by, oh, to cover it, really?
Not covered, sorry, but to have the flashing.
Oh, yeah, the flashing has to go there if you're butting.
It's not a bad idea to put a piece of horizontal, I mean, you'll see that in Nevada City, a lot of horizontal trim to keep any seams hidden.
Right, and I think that should be a part of these plans if we're doing a board and batten treatment. Because
No, I don't think we
it's a
do.
sort of tracked detail if that's omitted.
You can actually see in Nevada City where we only have this sheet, this Z flashing, and sometimes where we have a horizontal trim on it as well. So you can decide whether it's too distracting or not, to not have it. Because it's certainly cheaper to not have it. And, especially when you put a piece of wood horizontal siding, you have to trim it, you have to flash it out too, just so it doesn't rot right away.
So is there a change here to make?
If you know what I'm talking about,
No, I'm not clear exactly where we're talking about.
if in a board
gable end.
batten hardy plank or hardy panel setting, the length of the sheet, especially in the gable end, won't reach all the way to the top. So then two sheets will have to butt end to end. And at that joint, there's a piece of flashing and a little gap in between. And it has a sort of a modern tract home look to it.
To see that piece
Just
of
to
metal,
see
this
that
metal
piece of metal,
flash.
yeah.
And so you're saying put trim over that
Yes.
metal? Okay,
Yeah, like right here.
got it.
Yeah, at whatever length the
Yeah.
the panel ends,
I think you can get it up to 9, but even 9 wouldn't cover that.
right?
So,
And I would actually recommend 9 here so that would be a little higher than just on the top of those windows.
Yes.
so the question is, do we want to require that?
I think in the case of board and batten, yes.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
I like it.
Yeah.
And then shingles, hardy shingles, shingle panels. I don't know if those are terribly expensive, but
They're crazy expensive. I've done them on 2 projects, but, and I think they only come as pre-painted, by the way. So that's that red color. They look great. They
Right,
look fantastic, but you got to be able to afford it.
right. So but I think that should be an allowable option,
On the gable ends or the whole thing?
or the whole thing.
If it's,
I think we put that in the cover sheet, yeah. That
if
is-
it's,
Yeah.
if it's more, I'm just wondering if it's more expensive, is it worth putting it in here? Or if the people really want it, they can come and ask for an exception.
Right, well, maybe better, more simple administratively.
Simple to add it.
Yeah, it simplifies the
It would
the
streamline it more
process. and
if it was
agreed.
provided as an option.
Yeah. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Again, but assuming the color, Chuck was just saying,
Yeah.
it's pre-colored, as long as the color meets our color requirements.
It's the best one from a color point of view because it's a great terracotta red,
Which would meet
and
our,
it looks like cedar weathered, basically. Yeah. Or redwood, frankly. Looks like redwood.
okay, Tom, did you have another one?
I don't think so, give me a second.
I want to
Thank
check
you
your-
for,
No, we appreciate your input.
that's it.
Okay, excellent. All right, if there are no more questions or discussion, would someone like to make the motion? Anyone?
Sure, I will.
you.
So I'll make a motion to find the project exempt from CEQA. Do I have to say all of that? Is that different from the other ones? Okay. And recommend approval of the following A through B to City Council.
A through C? Yep.
A through C.
Yep.
I didn't have my glasses on.
I'd like to second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Simmons,
Yes.
Commissioner Nye,
Yes.
Commissioner French,
Yes.
Chair Brown.
Yes. All right, motion passes. Great.
And confirming that the motion does include the notes that we've,
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome,
Thank
of
you.
course, thank you.
that's
I
nice.
want to show you what
Discussion.
these shingles look like. You had it the very time. Here's what these and they look fantastic. But can I show you guys?
Sure.
So this is Mountain View co-housing. I mean, you really can't beat it, but very few people can afford it.
I don't think that fits into the pre-approved colors.
Yeah,
Yeah, very nice.
Dynamite.
Nicely detailed, too.
looks very nice.
We can
Yeah.
still provide it as an option. I
Yeah.
know we're done with the thing, but yeah,
Oh, yeah.
talk about it later.
Okay, I think you had a couple informational items.
Do. So we have a second Housing Element Community Workshop coming up on September 10th. And this will be focused on sites and fair housing. So it'll be a good one. I think this is what everybody wanted to talk about at the first community workshop with sites. So we'll be looking at actual specific sites where housing could go. And that is at 6 PM in here, from 6 to 7:30. The second one here is staff will be working at some point, when we get some capacity, on a new lighting ordinance that is more consistent with dark sky standards. So looking forward to that. And then third item on here is window decals. This is something that I would like to bring to the commission at some point. We don't currently have direction on this. They're not really allowed or not allowed in our code, so look for something on that. And then the final item here is just other announcements that commission may have as well. I believe there's one of the items on here is the design guideline updates through the Preservation of Downtown Ad Hoc Committee. I think that there's going to be an ad hoc committee meeting at the end of September, maybe the 23rd or the 24th. I don't know that the date's been set yet, but hopefully you can get that on your
I
radar.
haven't seen a date yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
And we haven't
We haven't.
It's
had
a
meeting for
rumor.
Quite some time. I keep
it's,
asking.
come up
Yeah.
with any.
yeah. It's just,
My understanding though
Yeah.
is we're looking to hire
yes,
Find a
and
consultant.
we have gone through all of the proposals on that. We interviewed a couple of people in the last couple days, and we've got some really good candidates. So
Good.
hoping to wrap that up in the next week or so.
Cool. Excellent.
And that's it.
All right. Great. Declare us adjourned. Side raise.
Official, no, something like that.